Hey, welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about life after divorce for women, debunking myths. There is so much myth out there about how your life is pretty much over following a divorce. And in today's video, I want to debunk some of those myths that maybe you have come to believe, and maybe those myths are holding you back. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. So, if you are divorced, or maybe you've just recently been divorced, it's so important to manage your mindset and the narrative. A lot of the times, the narrative around you, from your community and the people maybe you hang around with, or the mindset that you have and the stories that are going on in your mind can limit you and can create this experience that is negative, and it does not have to be so. So let's go through some of the myths surrounding divorce. One of those myths is that you're a failure. I know, right? Some people think that because you've experienced a divorce, now you're a failure, and maybe you think that way. Listen, that's such a lie. Because you've gone through a divorce, because you've experienced something so fundamental that it affects different areas of your life, does not mean that you are a failure, and you should not buy into that narrative. As long as you're breathing and living in this life, everybody at some point will go through something challenging, will go through something painful. And the fact that yours is a divorce does not make it any different from any other experience that is negative that other people have gone through. And the fact that you failed at this one aspect of your life does not mean that you're going to fail in other aspects. And it's so crucial, like I mentioned at the beginning, mindset. It's so crucial that you check all of those thoughts that are running havoc in your mind, that tells you all kinds of stuff about your situation that are negative. So it's so important that you manage your mindset, to know that because you failed in this one area, because you did not have maybe the happily ever after, or your marriage did not last as long as you wanted, it does not mean that you're a failure. And you should not carry that mindset into other areas, because that mindset could then affect other areas. You could just unwittingly carry that sense of inadequacy into other areas of your life, and that's not true. Because with this experience, you can bounce back, you can find yourself again, and you can thrive. So don't buy that. Another myth is that nobody is going to want you. Girl, don't buy that lie. That's so untrue. The fact that it didn't quite happen in this particular marriage does not mean that now nobody else will want you, that you're not going to find love anywhere else. That's so not true. And I want you to reality check that message whenever it comes up, whether it comes up in your mind or whether you hear it from the people around you. Reality check it. Let's do a quick mental, checkup. Have you heard about people who got divorced and are happily married now? If you've ever heard that story, it just means that that can be possible for you, and that the myth that you're not going to find love again and that nobody wants you is old story. It's not true. And so here's what I want you to think about. I want you to know that you are still worthy, and you will always be worthy. And worthiness has no prerequisites. The fact that you've experienced something that is devastating, it does not mean that you no longer are worthy. I'll give you an example. So I'm going to take this 5-pound note, right? This is a very simple example that I can give to you. So imagine this 5-pound note. You can use it to get coffee. You can get some carrots and some potatoes or something in the supermarket, right? So imagine that I squeeze this 5-pound note and I give it to you, And I give it to you like that. Does it still have the same value? Yes? Yeah, it does. So what if I really, really squeeze it? I really squeeze it up. And I give it to you. Does it still have the same value, even though now it's not as crisp as it was originally? Does it still have the same value? You bet it does. And that's exactly the same situation with you. The fact that you've gone through something difficult does not mean that nobody will want you. It just means that in this particular situation, it didn't work out. But hey, there's beauty ahead of you. There's possibilities ahead of you. So don't buy into that lie. Speaking of being worthy, irrespective of what has happened to you, I want you to grab my free gift, 3 Steps to a Confident You. In this free download for you, I talk about how irrespective of what challenges you've gone through, you are still beautiful and you can go out there and still be confident and get what you want. So grab it right here, or I would also leave the information in the description box. Have you heard this one? You're going to be miserable for the rest of your life. Oh my goodness, that's bad. That's just crazy. That's what? We're talking about one experience, okay? We're not talking about your whole life coming to an end. We're talking about one experience. And it's important that you see it in that compartment that it is. This is an aspect of your life, and it should not and does not have to determine the rest of your life. You're not going to be miserable for the rest of your life. It depends on how you choose to see your situation and the perspective. And I am so glad that I prefaced this video talking about mindset and narrative to say, you know what? It depends on your perspective. If you look at divorce as the end of your life, if you look at that divorce as, well, you know what? That's me. I'm done. I'm finish, then that will become a reality for you if that's what you're thinking. But if on the flip side you look at it as an opportunity this time to create the life that you want, to take that situation that is messy and flip it and create the life that you now want on your own terms, that's exactly what it's going to be for you. I want you to have the mindset of the glass half full in this situation. Granted, what you've been through is difficult, and we all at some point will go through our own version of difficulty. This is just yours. And so if you look at the glass as half full, then you can say, you know what? Now I've been granted a fresh canvas. Now I have the opportunity to, do the things I want to do. I have the opportunity to create exactly the kind of life that I want to. Do you want to relocate? Do you want to get a new job? What is it that you want to do? You can actually use this opportunity to begin to create that. And so, no, you are not going to be miserable for the rest of your life. You can flip it and make it the best years of your life to come. What about this one? You are unlovable. Girl, don't let anybody project that on you. Maybe your husband has, with his words and his actions, told you that you are unlovable. And maybe this kind of message got reinforced because of an experience you had in your past. Maybe when you were younger, growing up, you experienced situations or people acted in a way that made you feel unlovable. And so now when your husband or ex now told you that you are unlovable by his actions or his words, you kind of came to believe this, that maybe there's something fundamentally wrong with you, and it would make that impossible for you to be lovable. That's some crazy projection. Don't take it. You're not unlovable. You are worthy. And like I spoke about in the previous myth, don't buy into that narrative that you are not lovable, that you are unworthy, because the very fact that you're here, the very fact that you're breathing and you're living means that you are worthy, because worthiness has no prerequisite. It's not about what you've done right or what you have. It's about the fact that you're worthy of love and of belonging simply because you exist, simply because you're living, simply because you are human and you are here. So this relationship may not have worked out right. And so maybe the people who cared for you, or the people you cared about, who were supposed to cover you and love you and take care of you, did not do that. And through all of these experiences, they were projecting their own feelings, insecurities, and pains on you. Girl, don't buy into that. It does not mean that you're not lovable. You've just not found the right person to share your heart with. You've just not found the right person to be with. When you've done the work, when you've healed, and when you are ready to open up your heart again, you will find the right person. I'm curious. I want to hear from you in the comments. Which of these myths have you bought into? Which one have you grown out of and realized that it was all lies? Next Sunday, I'll be talking about reclaiming your identity after divorce, so be sure to check it out. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already and join the community. I want you to share this video with as many women as it will be beneficial to. Give it a thumbs up if you like it, and also grab my free gift, 3 Steps to a Confident You. And if you want to know more about how I help, come over to christianasenibo.com, but I'll leave all the information in the description box below. Like I said earlier, I want to hear from you. What other topics do you need support with? And I will be really keen to hear that and do my best to get answers for you. Until I see you with next week's video, check out these videos and go out there and thrive.